Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty King Abdullah arrived in the Indian capital New Delhi on a state visit, during which he will hold talks with Indian President Ramnath Kovind, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other senior officials. The King will also address a session in a conference dubbed Islamic Heritage, Enhancing Harmony and Coexistence. During the visit, His Majesty will also attend the Jordanian Indian Business Forum, which aims to push two-way trade and establish potential partnerships between the two countries. More than 300 Jordanian and Indian businessmen and investors will gather to discuss opportunities at the forum. His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Al Hussein was sworn in as regent in the presence of cabinet members. His Majesty and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas discussed the latest developments concerning the Palestinian cause. During a telephone conversation, the King and Abbas also reviewed efforts to push the Middle East peace process forward. Earlier here in Amman, His Majesty King Abdullah discussed with Kazakh Minister of Defense and the Aerospace Industry, Beybout Atamkulov, bilateral relations and means to boost cooperation, mainly in the defense industries. The meeting, which was attended by the Army Chief and other top officials, also focused on the current situation in the Middle East, as well as efforts to fight terrorism within a holistic approach. Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki discussed with a Georgian delegation led by Parliament Speaker Irakli Kubakhidze prospects of cementing political, economic and trade ties between Jordan and Georgia. Mulki briefed the delegation about the challenges facing Jordan as a result of the turmoil in the region, mainly the Palestinian issue and the Syria crisis. Most of the challenges in the region, he said, are rooted in the failure to find a just and lasting solution to the Palestinian issue, adding that resolving the Palestinian-Israeli conflict will help to bring about stability and prosperity to regional countries. On the Syrian crisis, Mulki said Jordan had since the beginning of the conflict advocated for a political solution to achieve peace and stability and stop the bloodshed in Syria. The Prime Minister said the reconstruction process in Iraq and Syria need the support and concerted efforts of all countries, stressing that Jordan could be a gateway for the reconstruction. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Ayman Safadi discussed with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov efforts to reach a political solution to the Syria crisis based on UN Security Council resolutions. During a telephone call, the two ministers also stressed the importance of the recently adopted UN resolution demanding parties in the Syria conflict to cease hostilities for 30 days to enable humanitarian aid deliveries and medical evacuations. Safadi and Lavrov also agreed the need to continue cooperation and coordination on the de-escalation zone in southwest Syria. However, and on the ground, a Russian call for a 5-hour truce failed to halt one of the most devastating campaigns of the Syrian war, where residents said warplanes resumed striking the eastern Ghouta region today after a brief lull. Residents in several towns in eastern Ghouta described a brief pause in fighting, but said fighting swiftly resumed. The Russian Defense Ministry said rebels started new offensives after midday during the ceasefire, shelling a safe route intended for civilians to leave the enclave. The United Nations said the situation was proving impossible to aid civilians or evacuate the wounded. Some 393,000 people are trapped in the enclave, while more than 500 people have been killed in 10 days of heavy bombardment to retake eastern Ghouta. In the Palestinian lands, Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre will reopen its doors as of tomorrow morning. Christian leaders in Jerusalem made the announcement in a statement after Israel backtracked from a tax plan and proposed property legislation. The Israeli move had prompted a 3-day protest and the closure of the church. Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox and Armenian clergy described Israel's new tax policy and a proposed land expropriation law as an unprecedented attack on Christians in the Holy Land. Back here at home, Her Majesty Queen Rania launched the Mobile Emerging Technology Exhibitions organized by the Jordan River Foundation in partnership with UNICEF. Her Majesty joined a group of school children for a briefing session on the project and its activities before touring the exhibits, part of the Social Innovation Labs project, which focuses on unleashing the creativity and skills of vulnerable youth in Jordan. The exhibitions feature a wide range of innovative and interactive activities designed to empower and motivate youth. They consist of 10 mobile vans which travel across the country to reach local communities. Throughout 2017, the Social Innovation Labs project trained more than 6,000 youth across Jordan. To the world of fashion and the first day of Paris Fashion Week. Kicking off a week with a bang, Christian Dior turned back half a century to stage a 1968 protest down its fall-winter 2018 runway. The exterior of the show space was covered in a collage of protest signs, while inside the runway set mirrored the same sentiment. As for the collection, the pieces echoed the 60s resistance just as effectively as the walls, with an explosion of color. Ponchos, a peace sign, knits and patchwork miniskirts worn with chubby sheepskin coats formed the uniform for Dior's model demonstration. To sports, and with the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics over, Beijing is preparing for the 2022 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. A ceremony was held in the Chinese capital, marking the start of the tour of the Olympic flag. The flag arrived in the city yesterday and was carried on stage at the Badaling section of the Great Wall of China in Yangying district, which will host competitions for bobsleigh and skiing. And finally, for a quick look at the weather, it will remain relatively cold across many parts of the kingdom, though temperatures will slightly rise. Light scattered showers are expected in the southern and eastern regions. Amman tomorrow can expect a high of 15 degrees Celsius and a low of 6 degrees. As for the Gulf of Aqaba, moderate conditions prevail, with daytime temperatures at 24 degrees, dropping down to 10 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Ali Atuqan. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.